this is Lydia Seebeck, the Rogue Agronomist. In today's episode, we're going to discuss soil and plant nutrition, or how plants eat. There's been a lot of misinformation here, and I hope to clear things up. There's one theory that is very new and not yet well supported by science. There's one theory that is very well supported but not well heard of. And there's one theory out there which is what most of us think is the truth, and it really isn't. What most people think is the truth is that the plant takes up soluble fertilizer, such as Miracle-Gro or any of your chemical fertilizers, and it just draws it in through the plant roots and through a process called transpiration, which is how water moves through a plant. It moves up into the leaves and is used by the plant for its various needs. It sells a lot of fertilizer. It's also not really the truth. I study a lot of Dr. Albrecht. William Albrecht was a soil sciences professor at the University of Missouri during the Great Depression and World War II into the 50s. He had this to say: "If we must get rid of the water-soluble fertilizer bugaboo in considering soil fertility and plant nutrition, because transpiration runs independently of our control." Basically, what he is saying is that transpiration, even when that is shut down by keeping a plant in 100% humidity condition, for example, which can be done in experimental conditions in the lab, you completely shut down transpiration, you will still get growth occurring and nutrient uptake through the roots. This could be experimentally proven. He did so in Missouri. So do not think that water-soluble fertilizers are the answer, really any bit of the answer. His concept, which he expressed in this and several other books and in decades of research, was colloid chemistry. What you have is a clay particle and a plant root. Both of these have chemical reactions occurring on their surfaces. The clay particle tends to absorb and then adsorb sodium or calcium or iron onto its surface and hold it there so it stays in the root zone. Remember that soluble means water could carry it. Water soluble could go right through the root zone and out into your local waterway. That's not what you want. When it adsorbs onto the soil colloid, that keeps it in the root zone. Then when the plant root comes right up to almost to the colloid clay particle, a chemical reaction can occur. Plant releases a little bit of weak acid. The acid strips the chemical ions such as sodium or potassium off the clay particle, and it could then move into the plant root. This is probably how most nutrients are taken up by plants, right here. It is well proven by Dr. Albrecht. It is even somewhat taught in soil sciences, in agronomy, in regular agriculture classes. It is, however, not well understood by many people. I assure you it has been well proven in experiments. And this is how most plants take up their nutrients. The third one is really controversial. But I'm the rogue agronomist, right? I'm going to go out onto the edge when I think it's necessary. It's called endocytosis. That's a really fancy word for you have a particle of something yummy, perhaps an amino acid, something larger than a single chemical ion. We know that bacteria and other membranous simple organisms could do this. They move their membrane out and around the particle, and kind of like Cookie Monster eating a cookie, grab it and fold it into themselves. Well, this is possibly also true of plants. The question is the cell wall, but perhaps there are ways that the cell wall can move or something of that sort. We don't know yet. This is very new and it is proposed. It has not yet been truly proven. But if endocytosis can occur and a plant can take in amino acids and other larger molecules, that would be even yet again a change in how we have to think about soil nutrition. Now, what does this mean to you as a gardener? I've been talking about a lot of big terms and high science here. What it means is the colloid, clay, and organic matter, I should add, particles, are where you should really concentrate your knowledge and your thinking about soil nutrition. The more organic matter, the more clay you have, the more the chemical ions can charge onto those particles and be available to the plant root or the mycorrhizal hyphae when they come in contact. That right there is the number one best thing you could do as a gardener to ensure soil fertility, is to make sure you have well-charged clay and organic matter, and particularly the presence of clay and organic matter, so that any ions that come along may charge onto them. Incidentally, Albrecht believes that when you do add a soluble chemical fertilizer onto a clay soil that is actually absorbed mostly by the clay, it's not in the water or nutrient slurry that the fertilizer companies love to talk about. It's actually on the clay. The clay absorbs the Miracle-Gro in this case, and then the colloid chemistry proceeds as normal. So you don't have to use the Miracle-Gro, obviously. You can use an organic supplement such as gypsum, and the gypsum will break down and charge onto the clay colloid, and eventually the calcium and sulfur will be perfectly available to your plants. In the case of gypsum, it's actually quite quick, space of a few months. In the case of something like kelp, it may be a little bit longer, but as your soil builds, you'll have a reserve of those nutrients on the clay colloid, and you'll be able to proceed with beautiful crops and just keep renewing that fertility from year to year. That's all I have for you for today, and I'll see you on the next episode.